Why don't we all just drive on the same side of the road? Wouldn't it just make everything so much easier if all cars had the steering wheel on the same side and we all drove on the same side of the road? Now, I know that us Brits joke a lot about everyone else driving on the wrong side of the road and that we drive on the right side of the road. However, only 30% of the world drives on the left.
So that makes us the problem, not them.
Does it?
It is just a ball like having these differences all around the world. France drives on the left side of the car and on the right hand side of the road. So if I want to go and drive over there, not only do I need to get used to driving the other way round, but I'm also legally required to put stickers on my headlights to avoid dazzling people on the other side of the road. But more importantly, how are you meant to navigate a McDonald's drive-thru?
You could just reverse round it.
I'm not that good at reversing.
I don't think I am either.
We should try that.
And then there are roundabouts. American viewers, stick with us. These are complex enough for most drivers, so flipping it round makes it absolute carnage. Most people can't even deal with a change in the weather, let alone flipping one of these. If the car you want isn't sold in your country, you'll need to import it. If it doesn't come in the correct side drive for where you live, that's tough luck. You'll have to live with all the pitfalls of driving a car with the wrong side drive. America won't even allow you to import a car until it's over 25 years old anyway.
There's a chance to win a new family car.
Now, you might not be able to buy some Japanese cars, but you can buy some Japanese steel knives. So let me tell you about this week's sponsor, Kamikoto. Kamikoto makes a range of kitchen knives only using steel from Japanese mills. They use traditional techniques that date back almost 800 years to handcraft each knife. Their bladesmiths have over 100 years of experience between them, and each knife goes through a 19-step process that takes years from start to finish. All orders come presented in these heavy-duty ashwood boxes, which make them a great gift. Every single one of their Japanese steel knives are individually inspected and come with a lifetime guarantee. These knives are used by Michelin star chefs all over the world, but Kamikoto wants to give our viewers a discount. They've kindly offered you guys $50 off any purchase when you use our code DRIVENMedia. So check out the link in the description below. And now, back to the video.
On a larger scale, it also means that cars have to be manufactured to accommodate left and right-hand drive, unless you're Gordon Murray, of course. Surely it'd be much easier if everything was built the same. But before we do anything else, we should definitely look at where driving on a particular side of the road actually started. I'm definitely no historian, but we're starting off way back in the 1300s. Pope Boniface VIII told everyone that they should keep to the left if they're making the pilgrimage to Rome. Some historians claim he actually ordered them to keep to the right. So in truth, nobody knows what he said, but it was one of the first instances where people travelled on a particular side. I definitely didn't expect to be researching popes.
Why did he do that? Well, who knows? I suppose it makes sense because it is a lot more orderly than having people causing chaos on both sides of the roads, and that will probably look a lot like this. Here in the UK, we drive on the left-hand side of the road with right-hand drive cars. There is actually a very good reason for this, and it comes way before cars were even invented.
So 90% of the world are actually right-handed. So imagine you're trotting down the road on your horse, and your sworn enemy is coming down the road on the other side. You wouldn't want your sword in your weaker hand. So they ride on the left-hand side of the road, so you can have your sword in that side. That's solid proof that driving on the left side of the road can save lives, unless you're left-handed, obviously. Napoleon did the complete opposite of this because he was left-handed. He forced every country he conquered to travel on the right side so that he could carry his sword in his stronger hand and defeat any attackers who might be coming the other way, which I guess makes sense. Okay, that doesn't really apply today, but when it comes to personal travel, these habits just seem to stick. When people made the transition from horses to cars, the natural decision was to just stay on the same side of the road. If you start looking at the list of countries that drive on the left, you'll start to see a bit of a pattern. Pretty much all of them either were or still are British colonies. Much like Napoleon did on the right side of the road, Britain forced any country it conquered to drive on the left side of the road. There are a few of those where it doesn't work too well. The British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands and Turks and Caicos all drive on the left, but most of their passenger cars are left-hand drive because of US imports. Not driving on the side nearest the centre of the road can make things like overtaking and blind junctions quite difficult. When I read that, it made me wonder if any country had ever switched to driving on the opposite side. Surely, making a change that big would be such a huge operation that it's not even worth doing. All of the cars previously sold would become inconvenient to drive, almost all road signs and traffic lights would need to change or be moved, and buses would need to change so people wouldn't be getting out into traffic. That's exactly what Myanmar did. They drove on the left side of the road up until 1970, when dictator General Ne Win decided that everyone needed to change to the other side of the road. This was a massive pain because all the cars were right-hand drive, and even today there are still traffic lights on the wrong side of the road. Myanmar didn't really have a good reason to switch, but Sweden did the same in 1967 because they were the only country in Europe still driving on the left side after World War II. So, to appease all of their neighbours, they made the change. The difference to Myanmar was that their cars were already left-hand drive, so it wasn't such a huge pain. The day they made the switch, known as H-Day, was a bit chaotic, as you'd probably imagine. These signs were put up so people knew to switch, and it was a huge operation to change road signs, modify buses, and inform the general public so they didn't end up having head-on collisions with traffic going the other way. In the USA, cars have always driven on the right. This comes from the wagons in the 1700s and the 1800s. These would usually be pulled by 4 or 6 horses, and the drivers would be seated on the back left horse so that they could use their whip in their dominant hand. Being on that side naturally meant that keeping right gave the drivers better judgment as they were closer to the centre line of the road. Despite always driving on the right, the cars weren't always left-hand drive. In actual fact, early cars didn't have a chosen side at all because they used a central rudder. It wasn't until the steering wheel was invented in 1898 that it wasn't plausible to keep seating positions in the middle, again, unless you're Gordon Murray. Early Ford Model Ts were actually right-hand drive and didn't switch until 1908. The change was made because it was deemed more practical for the driver to be nearer the centre of the road, so it'd be easier to judge space between passing cars. It was also so that passengers would be able to exit the car onto the pavement rather than into the road, which seems quite logical, really. Some countries have actually banned cars with the opposite side drive. Cambodia did this in 2001, which meant all car owners had to have their car modified in order to comply with the rules. On the flip side, cars in Japan are right-hand drive, but it's considered to be more authentic and something of a status symbol to have a German car like a BMW or an Audi in left-hand drive, just like it was where they were built. Just imagine the whole world having to do what Cambodia did and make millions of people switch over. When you take that into consideration, putting a sticker on your headlights, learning some new rules, and just not getting a McDonald's drive-thru doesn't really sound that bad after all. So basically, I don't think it will ever be the case that everyone drives on the same side of the road. Even though it would probably make things a lot easier, it's just a lot of hassle. If you enjoyed this video, then you should check out this video on why supercars keep catching fire. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.